Thank you so much. Alrighty, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. Such an honor and a privilege to be your MC for this morning's training session. And so awesome that we get to learn more about Design 101 from Charlene Saker. In terms of the training session, for those of you who are perhaps new to this ACM online training, it'll last an hour, during which time when Charlene is doing her presentation, if you don't want to ask a question specifically, Charlene said I could say this, if you don't want to ask a question and interrupt her, you just pop it into the chat, and then at the end of that, we can get to those questions. But there'll also be a time of interaction and so forth. And then in terms of Charlene, she is the creative media coordinator at Impact Radio, who recently celebrated their 30th birthday, and just so awesome. Charlene oversees social media content and communications for the brilliant radio station up in Pretoria. She's also a radio presenter herself and has worked as a freelance graphic and layout designer for over 15 years. With a passion for clear visual communication and storytelling, Charlene brings both creativity and practical experience to helping others understand and apply the principles of good design. So without further ado, Charlene, we're going to hand over to you. And ladies and gents, let's enjoy this time together.
Cool. Thanks, Jonathan. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so like Jonathan said, if you have a question, feel free to pop it in the chat. Jonathan can bring it to my attention. We're a small enough group that we can have a chat. So yeah, I thank you for the lovely introduction. I think from my side, my passion is content and communication. So design and visual design, like we'll be talking about today, is really just a means to communicating something. And that is the main idea from today that I want to bring across. And so I hope that will be brought across. But I'm passionate about helping people feel encouraged and for people to be equipped. And I know that as people in ministry, we definitely all have a similar heart as radio presenters or whatever we do, whether it be written content, audio, visual content. We want people to connect with something bigger, something deeper and more important. And so that is the heart of this. This isn't just making things pretty. This is about something bigger and deeper. We want to reach the people that we intend to. And so I've put together this presentation in 3 parts. We're going to talk about design communication. So essentially the foundation of it, the heart of it, then design principles, a little bit of a theory around that. So I'm cramming a lot of content into 1 hour, but it's important for you to have a full picture. I can't leave an important part out. So take lots of notes. I'm sure the presentation will be available at some point as well. And it's something you can then work through as a team later on. And then we'll then end off with a brand application. So in other words, how do you take all of this theory and actually put together a bit of a plan for your ministry, brand, business, organization, whatever you want to call yourself? So yeah, let's hop into design communication. Like I said, it's really about the heart behind it. So design is an intentional process of planning, creating. It can be a product, a system, space, communication, but it's got a specific function, purpose, and aesthetic in mind. It balances form, function, and context to solve a problem or fulfill a need. So that's a fancy way of just saying that ultimately design is solving a problem. My husband, I mentioned just now to Jonathan that my husband's an architect, and we often have very overlapping conversations. Even though he works with a built environment, I do a lot of that visually and in a 2D type format, because a lot of what design is in the principles, and you'll see that later on, they transcend the form and the actual materials you're working with. The principles remain the same, because what do you want to do? You want someone to experience something, and you want people to have a general feel. If you're designing a restaurant, you want people to go in and feel something. You're gonna either make an impression that you are fancy and you are, you've got a certain aesthetic, or you're going to have a relaxed environment. It feels homey. You can immediately think of places that give you a different feel. The same can be said for visual design, the language that you use, the imagery that you use. We know that certain colors evoke certain emotions. So red is energetic and it's quite a strong color. Green is peaceful. They often use green for health type organizations. So color is a way that we send a message, and all of this is subliminal, but from the designer's point of view, it's intentional. You have decided everything that you do, you want to communicate something. The photos that you use, are you a diverse organization? Are you youthful? Are you an older demographic? You communicate very strongly through every piece of imagery that you use. And so that is why we talk about this. So let's jump into some design myths, because immediately when I talk about design, I often have similar conversations where people are like, but I'm not arty, or I'm not creative or whatever. Now I want to argue that that is not what good design is. The engineer who designs a bridge is not arty. I very much doubt that he's doing crafts at home. That's not his thing. He is designing something to get people from point A to point B. So behind design is actually is like I said, solving a problem. So I'm not arty either. Don't have the patience for things like that. But I do want to communicate something, and I've got the skills that I'm still learning to use the programs and to use those elements that are available to me to do it well. So some of the myths, design's making things look pretty. You must be artistic. Design is subjective. It's just about taste. I would argue that it's not about your taste. It's about your audience. It's about what's your audience actually getting from what you are giving them. If I work for a client that is corporate, I can't go and put like a feminine style because that's what I like. It's not subject, or it's not just about what I like as a designer. It's about what will reach my audience the best. It's only for big businesses, also a common myth. And sorry, wrong button. So here's some myth busting. Design is really about communication. It's problem solving. It follows the principles. You still want to reach your audience. Every design you create is an ambassador. So whether your organization is big or small, it doesn't matter what it is. It's important to invest into that. And it's especially important when the foundations, or when the organization is small, because I believe we can build on those foundations. And yeah, I think that is basically some of the myths. I don't know if anyone has a question around this, maybe a myth that you can think of that's not on the list. You can just shout. Yeah, so this is really just, if we look at the little picture, this is the best way that one can explain it. The path to effective communication is good design. Here's the thing. People judge things. I mean, we know the saying, judging a book by its cover, but people judge things by how it looks. That is just the world we live in, because we have a very visual society. Everyone is swiping on their phones. And this is if we look at, I'll come back to this drawing, but if you look at some of the facts, it's very interesting. I just pulled 3 of them, but 75% of people judge a website's credibility based on its visual design. I've read another stat about this, that it takes someone 0.5 seconds to decide if they're going to interact with your brand or not based on your website. So that is absolutely astounding to me, but it means that if someone opens your website, it's busy, they have no idea what to do. I'm sure you've seen advertising like that on the street. You look at a banner and you're like, what are you? Are you lawyers? Are you accountants? Are you selling something? Like, you can't tell by their branding or by their advertising what they do. That, in my opinion, is not good design, because someone should immediately know what you're about. And so I think that is the idea, is that we make a good first impression. And again, like we say, we do that by using the right colors, by using the right imagery, just by being intentional about how we're putting these things together. Also, visual content gets 94% more views than text-only content. We know that social media people want to see things that are pretty. They want to look at things that look nice. That's just the fact of the matter. So I just want to go back here. So again, that's why it's important that our visual design doesn't hinder the message. We can put together beautiful content, and what you are saying is so rich in value, but the way that it's presented is distorting the final product or the final message, and that is what we want to avoid. And so we do that with visual design, but by investing in good visual design. Now, what I want to show you is also just how it doesn't have to be complicated and difficult. You don't have to be super artistic. Sometimes just doing the most basic thing is better than trying to, my husband keeps saying to me, stop over designing, just remove all the extra things and just rather keep it simple. All right. What does visual design do? It simplifies and clarifies. Consistency builds trust. We know that, I mean, Coca-Cola is like the most famous example of this. They've done it best. You see their logo, it's immediately recognizable. We know Woolies has a very certain aesthetic. They're very, like, all about minimalist, monochrome, pictures of people with white, like a lot of negative space in their imagery. They've got a bit of a luxurious feel, diverse, you know, they have a very specific look and feel, and you almost immediately know when it is something from Woolies. Visual hierarchy guides focus. We'll talk more about that. Design communicates emotion. Again, if you are using a picture of a youthful group, you kind of communicating fun, you're communicating something that feels energetic, and that is what you're communicating. And design amplifies the message. We have kind of made that point a few times. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but this is a very famous designer, Dieter Rams, and I really just like this. You can maybe even take a screenshot of it for now, but it's almost like a little checklist. And this is why this is an important foundation, because before you even start a design, and while you're busy with the design, you're going to ask yourself, is the design thorough? Is it honest? Is it understandable? When I look at this and ask someone's opinion, when I look at this, or when this person looks at it, do they immediately understand what this is about? Sometimes we want to put all the information in a poster, but everything is lost. It's too much. Where if we just said, like, come have fun with us, and the date, like, more details below. You can put details in the caption. That's the main idea. We want you to come and join us on this date. Like, that's it. So we want to make sure that the most important message isn't obstructed. It's as little design as possible. All right. So this is basically the checklist that I speak of. What is the main message to be communicated? And this is also when you have a campaign or something for your organization, any kind of piece of content. And this is true for not just visual design. This could be any kind of ad that you're running. But the question is, what is the main message that needs to be communicated? We want people to know about this event. We want to reach parents, whatever it is, we need to know what is the main message. Who is the end user target audience in marketing? They often speak about the ideal client. In radio, we often talk about speaking to the one person. On my shows, I often picture this woman in her 30s. She's got young kids at home. Maybe she's in the car. She just dropped them off at school and she's feeling overwhelmed. And I've kind of given her a name, and I've got this whole picture of who she is, because it helps me speak to her more intentionally. And so that is what we do. We think of that person. What would be the best way to reach that person? You might be really good at using amazing wording and all of that, but if you miss the person on the other end of it, then it's not done its job. We want to think about the lowest common denominator, people that don't have English as a first language, people that might not be technologically savvy. You want them to be able to also know what to do with that piece of information. And then I see my head is in the way. Remove myself. What is the intended outcome of the design? So what is the call to action? That's normally the language we use. What should people do with this piece of information? Again, caption writing is also, it can support the design. We don't have to put everything in the design. You really like that quick draw in through the visual design. You want people to first be hooked because they're like, oh, that's a pretty image, or that looks interesting. And then once you've got their attention, then they can read more. Even doing a carousel post, like where you have more than one slide. Carousel post is like, you can have 5 slides on Instagram or whatever. And so the first slide could be something that draws them. And then if they're interested, then they can scroll and you can get more info. You see that a lot. If you do go on Instagram, you'll see people, especially content creators, they'll be like, I've never told anyone this, ... And then you're like, well, I must know what the rest of the story is. And then it's like 10 more slides with the whole story, but you keep like scrolling because you want to know, but they caught you with this one liner. And that's what you want to actually just draw people in. Recognizing the need is the primary condition for design. Again, I'm just building that foundation. A lot of it is saying the same thing, but it's all about the need. It's all about the person on the other end. All right. Any questions on that section? Or we fine to jump into the theory?
I have a question. Sorry, Charlene, if I can jump in. Yes. I think it was 3 slides back, you had a wonderful list of things, but your head was in the way at the bottom. So I don't know if we could go back to that. You suggested that we took a screenshot. Yeah, that one.
This one. Cool.
Yeah, that's
yes.
the one.
Okay. I'll make myself small. No, wrong direction. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. That's great.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So principles of design. I love this part because we're going to get a bit more practical and see some fun pictures. So principles of design, what is so cool about the principles of design is that they, just give me a moment, they transcend all forms of design. I've mentioned before with my husband being an architect, we often talk about these things. I actually was first introduced to the principles of design, didn't realize that it was this universal thing, but I did home ec in school back in the day, and we learned about interior design, and that's where I was first introduced. And then learning it in graphic design, my husband learned it in architecture. So these are universal principles. You can go and research it. There is so much, even on Pinterest, if you want to go and look, and you can look up examples if you want to research it more. It's very interesting. But these are widely accepted and the foundation. They're also grounded in human nature, how people's eye is drawn, or how their eyes are drawn to information. It's a guideline and a boundary. So in any given design, you're going to apply some of these principles, probably a few of them at the same time. It's a boundary. It doesn't mean that everything has to be stale and there can't be creativity. It just means that when a design's not working, generally what you could do is go back to your principles and think, okay, I haven't allowed enough space in my design. It's too busy, that kind of thing. So these are just really helpful for keeping your designs in check. And then it's something that does become intuitive, I think, if you practice it enough, but it's something that you can keep. I would even print it out, put it up on your wall. If you are doing a lot of this kind of thing, just go back to it. This can be true for presentations as well. If you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, don't busy it up. It doesn't need to be busy. You just want the main idea to pop out. All right, so these are the 8 principles of design. So I'm gonna try not to take too long because there are quite a lot of these, and I would rather discuss it a bit more. So we're gonna start with balance. And I know my head is in the way, but there'll be another place to take a photo of it. Cool. So balance. Balance is about visual weight distribution in a design. It could be in many different ways. It could be radial, like this design on the right. You could see it's radial. It's using this big circle on, I just want to quickly just remove this camera thing. You can see that it's using this circle balance, but the 2 elements side to side are lined up. What it's also balancing is the writing. So there's balance in that the Bike Expo side and the New York side right at the top are balanced. It's the same weighting, it's the same font, all of that, and it's balanced. So it's just a very well balanced design. And so when you want to design something, you want to make sure that you're not making that it's so hard to do this. You can probably not see my cursor, hey?
Okay. Yeah, no, we can't see your cursor, sadly.
Okay, no worries. It's fine. Okay, but yeah, you can see on the design the wheel and then the manhole. If the manhole was a different size to the wheel, it would look terrible, like it wouldn't work. So you want it, there's an obvious balance that you want. You want to make sure that the page is divided in half and not just in a random place. There's a intentionality to that, and it just helps guide someone's focus intentionally. So that is balance. Emphasis. Emphasis is something you use quite a lot in design, or that I use quite a lot. And you can see there in that little invite, you can see it's the word church, but what they've done is they've made the UR in the middle orange so that they can now say you're invited in the middle. So they've emphasized 2 letters by changing the color so that that's what your eyes are drawn to. There's many ways that emphasis is used, and it's just a way to communicate very clearly. You can change, you can see that if you do maybe a document, you're going to put the heading in bold. That's emphasis. You want someone's eyes to be drawn to the heading first and then read the rest later. That's why we do those types of things in bold. I'm going to isolate the elements using contrasting fonts or colors. I will give more guidelines around that, but remember, 2 fonts maximum is sufficient, and it must also fit into your brand guidelines. We'll look at some designs where people went crazy with fonts. Let's not do that. It's very stressful. People don't know what to do with it. And this is the thing, I often have this conversation with people that have worked with design, and they're like, oh, this is so boring. And also when you are doing work for your organization, everything feels like it just looks the same. You get a bit over it. You want to do something different and fun. But remember, it's not about you. It's about the end user. It's about the person that's going to be looking at that design. You want to be consistent. You can't change your the way that you portray your brand because you are bored with the design. So that's just something to consider. All right, then contrast, that's similar to emphasis. And here you can see on this design, everything's in black and white except for that phrase, enjoy every moment. And it's so beautiful because it stands out immediately. Contrast is a very important thing. You also don't want to have red on blue on purple. Like, you don't want all bright colors on a design. You want to balance it out. You want to have a bit of a contrast. If you're going to have, and with impact, this is very true because we have red as a brand color. It is a very strong color. And so we want to use the red sparingly. I always say the red is like salt. We just like season with it, but we don't overpower with the red. So we use contrast to bring out the message when we need to, and it helps it to be clear and readable for people. All right. Repetition, this is something else that we'll do. It can be patterns. I mean, I used an example here of words because they've done almost a design with words, which is quite nice, but there's many different ways you use repetition. If you're going to use a certain shape, you're not going to necessarily mix circles and rectangles and all of those shapes in your design. You're going to try and repeat the circle pattern, or the circle, if you put like text on a circle to highlight it, you're going to keep that kind of circular language. In other words, you're going to repeat the same idea, same with fonts even. You're going to repeat the same type of font. You're going to keep it similar style because you want it to all be cohesive. You want the design to all the elements of the design rather to work together. Proportion. Proportion, there you can see what is really nice. If you look at this design, you can see that what they've done, if you can just imagine the line going through that white block in the bottom left corner, you can actually draw almost like a grid on this design. What they've done is they have proportionately divided the blocks so that it looks neat and it looks intentional. You can do that in Canva, by the way. You can actually set guidelines and rulers and grids. You can choose how the grid is laid out on Canva, just almost like a hidden line. It's not in your design, but it's really helpful to just make sure you stay in those proportions. You also are going to make sure that your heading and your caption is proportionate to one another. It doesn't help that your heading is so huge in your face and the person can't read the caption. You have to consider proportion. All right. And it also doesn't help if the caption is bigger than the heading. That doesn't make sense either. People's eyes are going to go to the biggest thing first. Movements. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but you can create movement in life. And this is especially true for youthful type content. There needs to be a sense of fun and flow. And so there's many different ways that you can do this. This is quite a literal use of it, drawing a line, but it's a very smart way. And you can see this design also uses a lot of negative space, and it's quite eye-catching. All right. Space, my favorite one, negative space. Think about it this way. It's not that these are all spaces that you are not doing something with. You are drawing the eye to the important information. That is really what negative space is about. It's about highlighting what is most important. And so this is a very important one. Less is more. That is the most important thing to understand. So we don't want it to be cluttered. We don't want just the need for adding elements. Some people might decide to put a little pattern in the corners because it seems a bit bare. I promise, if you look at all the brands that are very well known and very well respected, you'll see they use this principle a lot. Minimalism. Less is more. go look at Woolies stuff. I'll keep using Woolies just because I think they are a very good example of good branding. But I think what they do well is to not clutter their design, but just put a beautiful picture with a title on it, and that's enough. I think it just helps people fully understand what you're trying to tell them almost immediately. All right. Unity, I spoke about that a bit earlier as well, just repetition. So there you can see what they've done is they've repeated the circle pattern. You can see in the corner, actually this design balances a few or has a few of those principles. Balance, so there's a circle in the bottom left, a circle in the top right. So there's a balance there. There's repetition, they've used the circle pattern. Imagine if they decided in the top right corner to make that a square. It would be super random. It wouldn't make sense. So they have repeated the circle element. You can see even there's a watermark on the back. They've made like a lighter watermark using that same almost like bullets or target type shape. They've used it as a background. Colors, they've used similar colors. I mean, they've used the same color, black, white, and red. That's their color palette. So also, if they decided to just randomly add yellow, it would be weird. So there's consistency, balance, there's contrast. Job fair 2020, the 2020 stands out. That's use of contrast. There's many different ways that they've done it. So Unity is really just about sticking, and this is especially true for your brand. What are your brand colors? What's your font, your chosen font? You can have maybe a second font if you want to use it. What is your look and feel? Putting a photo on the background and then putting an illustration like that's megaphone on top of it is weird. You can't just mix different aesthetics. You want to make sure that all the elements in your design are unified. All right. So now comes the fun part. But first, just look at this image. I love this because this shows the principle of emphasis.
Brilliant.
Cool, eh? I love it so much. So it's just showing how people's eyes work. I'm glad I found this because it's actually so fun. So we're going to get a bit practical. So you guys, please ask questions. Or give your comments. You can also give your comments in the chat if you don't want to talk, but I'd love to hear your voices. So we are going to talk a bit about some good designs and what works, and maybe which of these principles can you recognize in here? So Jonathan, because you are hosting, I'm going to put you on the spot first. What are some of the principles that you immediately notice here?
Balance for sure.
Yeah,
Unity, the circle theme throughout, and then the space element.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, 100%. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, and
hold on.
yeah.
Sorry, my face was in the way. So.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
Comment here from Jeans here, also repetition.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, you can see the circle, and that circle, the orange circle, is proportionate to the wheel of the bike. They've made it the same size. So they've also repeated that very well. So yeah, spot on with all of that. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. This one, just so you know, I just pulled random designs. The wording is not, I didn't choose the things for their wording. So we can just overlook that. But what can anyone mention just something they see in this particular design that works? I would say the first thing, space, negative space.
Yeah.
It's very well highlighted or very well emphasized, the thing that you want to draw your eye to.
And it's a clever use of the website address, ignored every day. I see that those are the main two words highlighted. And
Yeah.
that's actually a website address as well.
Yeah, and that's good contrast. So they've highlighted that in black, with the yellow
And
sticking
even
through.
the
So
even the choice of that ignored every day, the wording, like what? Okay, this is interesting.
yeah, that's what we're talking about. Just it's standing out. It's you want to catch people's attention with something interesting. Cool. Okay, here's a bit of a busier design, but I still think it works. What do you think?
So I think the most important aspects are highlighted, that they're hiring and they're looking for somebody to join their team.
Yeah.
So that'll immediately attract attention, and the details are a bit smaller, but you could look into that if you pay a little bit more attention. But the important thing is anybody looking for a job is going to immediately think, okay, what are they looking for?
Yeah, exactly, Karen. It's immediately people are like, okay, this is what this is about. You've drawn the right person's attention. Now they can read further.
I think for anyone, they won't draw their attention. People will just get irritated by this because it's so busy and so funnily designed that it's actually irritation to the eye if you're not looking for a job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to read through the whole thing and then you realize, oh, this isn't even relevant to me. Yeah, definitely. All right. Okay, so here's some what doesn't work designs. The disclaimer is that I just Googled bad design and found the worst ones. I'm not publicly shaming anyone. I think a lot of this is in any ways from the USA or whatever. So just want to say, but this is actually cut off a bit. But either way, what doesn't work? What has not been done here?
Space isn't well utilized or overutilized.
Oh, sorry, I didn't actually hear that.
Saying the space, it's too full of content.
Oh yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's no. Your eyes are immediately tired, thinking, what am I supposed to look at first? Definitely.
Colors are too many. It's like in your face. Yeah, not nice.
Too many fonts. Too many fonts.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Too many fonts. I think I counted like 5 or something. It's insane. There's a lot of fonts. Just on that point as well, font use, it's not even, you can use the same font, but imagine if you used the same font, but you used 6 variations of it. One is bold and 24 points size-wise. The other one is 12 bold and italics, and then you just have so many variations of the same font. So even within a font, you want to repeat the same type of use of that font. All right, so this is quite a bad one. Here's another one that is also mini fonts, or it looks like a similar font, but what you can see what they've done is they've squashed in a lot of the the words to fit in instead of making it smaller. Right. Anyone?
It's a mistake that many people would make regularly because they are worried that if I don't put all the information in there, then how are people going to know what time it starts, or the fact that you get dinner and a comedy show. My goodness me. So, I mean, maybe I can ask this question if you don't mind now already, but what do you do if, for example, you don't have the capacity to, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you're hosting such an event, but you don't have the capacity to create something on your website. How would you do this event, trying to get people, but making it as easy as possible with, minimal manpower? I think that's the question I need.
No, for sure. So I want to actually do that. I wish we had more time because I want to actually show you what I've done before for just a little simple ad. But my first thing would be, okay, let's look at this design, what can go, because they don't actually, so for example, in the middle, dinner and comedy show and fundraiser doesn't have to be that big. That American patriotic comedy tour doesn't have to be that big. That name, the name of the person is biggest. Everything is just big actually, but there's a lot of this information that does not have to be this large and does not need to be on here, especially if you're creating like a social media poster. You can definitely put a lot of this in the caption. I often do that with some of our designs, is rather just say like what it's for, when it is, and how they can get more information, like a number or email or something. And then in the caption, you can say what's going to happen and elaborate a bit. It's much better to do that, because here's the thing. If you put everything on, then everything is lost. Nothing really stands out. I think if in doubt, just keep it very simple.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And like you said, you're putting it on social media, so there's space to write all the details of this is what you're going to get, that's what it's about, whatever. But to grab people's attention, it must be simple and just.
And I think, Jonathan, what we've also done sometimes, like let's say we have a campaign where we want people to be a club card member, for example, of Impact. You just get the heart across, like help us build, build with us or whatever, and then WhatsApp our WhatsApp line to find out more. That's it. And then what they'll do is they'll WhatsApp that number. They know exactly what to do. The call to action is very clear. And then they get automatic reply if they WhatsApp the word club card, for example, to WhatsApp, and then they get all the information. So you can email them. You can you can have whatever kind of a call to action. It doesn't have to be a big web page or anything. It just needs to be some clear way that they can contact you. Or I mean, if it is an event, you probably would have a place where people can buy tickets or whatever, and then you put a link to that in the caption. But there is a way to just simplify it. Here's a fun one. This one stresses me out the most because it's not obviously bad, because they've kind of used similar fonts. But I don't know about you, but when I look at this, I'm like, 1 blood donation every 2 seconds, 3 people. I don't even know what I'm looking at and where I'm supposed to look first. It's very confusing. And then this is just a funny one, because this is a t-shirt design, but it just explains what happens when you don't use wording correctly.
But it's actually brilliant. I would love a t-shirt like that, because it
Be happy, worry.
Most people worrying.
Yeah, maybe it is like something that makes you think for a moment, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but I get what you're also saying about, they could have, but I think sometimes like that creativity, I don't know.
But I think if it's intentional, if it's supposed to be almost, if what you're trying to do is contradictory, then or to draw people's attention by being but contradictory, then it's fine, because that's what you intended to do. But it's more just talking about the psychology of how people's minds read information. So if that's not what you want to communicate, then you need to just think about that hierarchy of information. Right.
I think it makes a good, it makes you laugh, and it actually takes the worry out the door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Good design is a language, not a style. All right. So I want to, it's 1:45. So I want to just do the last part, which is the brand application. So when I say brand, I mean organization, ministry, or whatever you would call yourself. So this is the kind of thing where you can really, and I know Good News Radio, you guys are there as a team. So this is a really nice thing for you to talk about afterwards, and how can we refine what we do or put things in place. All right. So we've spoken about why it's important and who's our target audience, all of that. Now, I want to show you just how it works when you apply it to your brand. So in the center of the circle, you're going to see the who. Who are we? What are our values? We want people to be equipped, or we want people to feel encouraged. We want to share the love of God. We want to look professional. We want to be youthful. Whatever the values are, whatever is important to you as an organization, the vision, what is it that we're trying to do here? Then you get your why, and that's your target audience. Why do we do what we do? Because we want to reach this group of people. We want to reach young people. Brand values come in there too, because we want people to feel loved. We want people to feel seen and heard and equipped and encouraged. And that's part of your mission statement. We want to grow our network. We want to reach more people. We want to infiltrate our community. So that's the why. The how are we going to do this? We're going to do this, and this is specifically around visual design. We're going to do this by using the tools and the elements like typography, which is a fancy word for words. I don't like using the word fonts because that's not actually, typography is how you use lettering and fonts. So our logo, how are we going to use our logo? Imagery that we use, pictures. Are we going to use youthful pictures? Are we going to use stock images that feel a bit generic, or are we going to try and take photos of people in our community? Tone and voice, youthful, professional, corporates, more traditional, whatever it is, your style, your color palettes. And this is where you kind of build your brand. People pay a lot of money for brand agencies to do this for them. But I do think that you can have someone maybe help you a bit, but there's a lot that you can do just by deciding what it is you want to do and what you want to be about. All right, and then the what. And this is kind of the final part of this design or the building your brand illustration is what does this translate to? It translates to our website, our signage, business cards, posters, flyers, social media, hospitality. What I mean by that is when people walk into your station, to your business, what do they feel? What do they see? Those things matter. What do your mugs look like? For a long time, Impact still had the old logo on the mug, and it bothered me for like 2 years. Finally managed to change that. But those things matter because it's those little touch points, those little intentional things that we do that stand out. Newsletters, digital content, email signatures. The point here that I'm making is that the core of who you are as a brand filters into everything you do, and it matters. It's something that I have to talk about a lot to people, because I realized that, especially when it comes to ministry and resources are a bit scarce, we tend to not invest in this. And so whoever's kind of available does a design. But the problem, what happens is that everything looks different. Everyone interprets the brand guidelines and the colors. They kind of do it their own way. And so nothing is cohesive. In order to build something strong and clear and with a very strong message, we want to make sure that who we are filters into everything, the what we do and what we put out into the world. I'm not going to go through this in detail now. You can actually just take a screenshot of this maybe and discuss this. So using the logo correctly, This is like a whole other session on its own, but please don't stretch out logos. It doesn't look good. Don't use bad quality photos. I had to have that fight with someone the other day where they're like, told me I'm being too finicky because the photo was blurry, and I'm like, but it doesn't look professional. Things like that matter. We want to use good quality images. We want to use the logo in the way that it's supposed to be. Remember that some people are going to look at the logo in a very small format, so it needs to be instantly recognizable. You want simple layouts. You want to use the approved colors. Impact is red, white, and black, and so we use complementary colors, but we stick to that. Even if I'm bored by it, that's our brand colors. And yeah, consistent style, tone. We want to be consistent. Okay, so as we end off, I wanted to share this with you. I'm gonna just make my, just want to quickly find a way to make my face go away. Sorry. Give me a sec. Oh, there you go. I made myself nice and small. Can everyone see the screen?
Yeah, looks great. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. So
Thank you.
this is also a great screenshot. So I know there are many more programs, many more, but these are ones that I actually use. So that's the only the ones that I can just suggest if you're not already using it, because it can be very overwhelming, especially if you're not into this. It can be very overwhelming. So Canva is amazing. I'm used to Adobe Illustrator, like the whole Adobe Creative Cloud or Creative Suite, but it's very expensive. It was costing me 1,000 Rand a month just for that. And also wasn't using it. What's nice about Canva is that it's obviously online. You can have an app on your phone, iPad, computer. It updates in real time, so your whole team can just log in and work on the same things. What I love is that if I have a piece of content and I'm done for the day with my laptop, I can quickly go edit something on my phone and export it very easily. Everything is there. What's also nice is you can build your whole brand guidelines on there. There's a way to, with a pro version, you can already put in all your logos, your color palettes, your fonts. You can choose all of that so that whoever's going on there to create content for you, they can just use the same brand templates, which is amazing. And what's also nice with the pro version, which is, you see it's 150 to 200 Rand per month. It's really not a lot. You have access to audio, free video, just like thousands and thousands of templates. It's just really an incredible resource, and you can do pretty much everything that you'd be able to do on other design programs. All right, Meta, but that's Facebook Business. But anyway, on Meta, you can do all the scheduling. I didn't actually realize this for a while, but yeah, you can do all of that, and you can go and look at the analytics. How did the post perform? Who did it reach? What time does my audience go and interact with my social media the most? So it's really helpful just to keep an eye on that, and it's free, which is really nice, and you can schedule ahead of time. So you can decide for this week, these are the posts that I want to create, and I can go and schedule it ahead of time. ChatGPT, use it all the time. I know everyone's probably tired of hearing of AI, but I don't use AI to think for me. I use it to save me time in editing my content. So what I will do often is say I'll upload maybe a design. This is a club card appeal for our members or for our community. Please, can you come up with a caption for me to promote this that is friendly and warm with the right hashtags, and then it will pop out a caption for me, and I just copy paste that. It has saved me so much time, even for a campaign. Hey, I've got 5 posts for a specific campaign. Please help me write the content for this. And yeah, and it does that. So it's just a really amazing tool for that. Scheduling, I mean, that's more on the administrative side, but Google Docs is not a new thing, but it's just also a nice way if you have a team that's all working on a schedule, you can have a calendar, a shared calendar, so you all know when you are going to be posting what content. Unsplash, amazing website. If you want the link, you can just let me know. So you get a lot of free stock, and then you get some paid things, but even the paid version is not expensive, but you get beautiful high res images, and a lot of it is stuff you can use for backgrounds. And it's not very like studio stock footage where it's a happy family smiling at the camera. It's nice, beautiful, emotive type photographs, which I love. And then Wix, last one, if you want to do stuff with your website, I've just found Wix. I know that hardcore web developers would be very offended that I'm suggesting Wix, but I've just found that it's a very nice platform that's user-friendly. You can do email campaigns, you can manage your SEO and stuff, but that is definitely more on a different topic. But I just wanted to show you some of the programs that really work well, because you want to save time and you want to integrate a lot of what you do. All right, cool. So that is basically it. I know there was a lot, but I would love to hear from you now. And we can go back to any of the slides and discuss.
Oh, thank you, Charlene. That's fantastic. It's really, as you did say, it has been a lot, but it's been a good lot. So it's been very helpful in that regard. Thank you so much. Ladies and gents, we're a small enough group. If you want to just ask Charlene a question, then just unmute yourself and go for it. And don't be shy. This is your opportunity. I mean, she's definitely an expert in this field.
Hi, Jonathan. This is Sean from Good News.
Hey, Sean.
Okay, so we are currently just using WhatsApp for our social media by choice. So we're using the channel and the WhatsApp status. And we've started using Canva. So I think the first thing I want to say is one of our volunteers thought of applying to Canva for the pro version, and we've got it for free because we're an NGO. So I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm not sure the others on this meeting platform are NGOs, but they can apply for the free one as well. In terms of data, like you said, there are some, when you're on air, you've got to consider who your listeners are, maybe the high income and the low income, or whoever is listening. What about data in terms of, just say you're posting videos, and some people may not have sufficient data for, it can actually put some people off. Is that a consideration? Like maybe put just more of the tile as opposed to videos? That's the one. And then the other thing is AI. So we've made some videos and with different scenes. And we've used some of AI videos. Now some of them look quite genuine, but others you can see it's AI. And we've got a difference of opinion. Some people think it's okay and it still sends a message. Personally, I don't like to see too much of the AI videos, but I just want to get your comment on that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So very cool about the NGO, free Canva for NGOs. That's amazing. It's a great thing to remember. Data, so we decided, because we have a word of the day that goes off every weekday on our Impact Facebook page. And so I was like, oh, this is so boring. It's just text. Let's add an image to it. And the engagement completely dropped. Then we realized a lot of people have Facebook Lite where they can't view images. So we went back to the previous version because I thought, okay, maybe if the caption has the same thing that the image does, then it should work. it is a very real factor, because if your audience, if a lot of people are struggling with data, then you have a bit of an issue. And especially with radio being such a popular platform for people who can't stream and all of that, they can access radio for free. So you have to be so aware of your audience. You might have different audiences, because I think what we do on air and the types of people we interact with on Instagram and Facebook are even different. I wouldn't even duplicate what you do on Instagram and Facebook, because the audiences are quite different. On Instagram, I find that we are interacting more with other like artists and other organizations, where Facebook is like our majority of our audience sits there. So there you're not going to post a lot of videos and stuff. But Instagram, maybe you can, because that's the demographic that are going to look at reels and whatever. So yeah, I think it's about knowing your audience and how they interact with various platforms. And then in terms of AI, last one, it's very obvious when something's been made with AI. Usually, I personally don't care for it, but it's also because I can see it very quickly. I just think you need to be very clear on your messaging. You want people to connect with who you really are. And so if the AI is getting in the way of that, of who you really are, of connecting, I watched a thing the beginning of the year, content creators that work like in the US and just commenting on the trends. And it seems like in terms of social media, the big trend is people want authenticity. People are interacting less with content that feels highly curated. People want to see real faces. They want to interact with real people. And so I would rather have content that is less highly staged, and not as highly produced, but more real. So that's a balance that we hold as designers. But yeah, it is a challenge, but I think your audience generally knows when something doesn't feel authentic. I don't know if that makes sense, Sean.
It does, thank you.
Aaron, did you want to say something? So unmuted.
No,
Oh.
I'm agreeing.
Yeah, it's a very interesting comment that you made there with regard to AI, because I really think, I just thinking about how AI has already changed so much. And even, looking back at the day where they were saying ebooks is going to kill the book publishing, book printing industry. And initially there was a little bit of a flurry, obviously, in all the first world countries. I mean, I think I only got my first e-reader like 3 years after the fact. But, people go back to that original book, that feeling of a real book in your hands. And I think it's the same in any other form of media, be it video, be it a post, why not? I mean, the device that you've got in your hand, probably if you just make a little bit of effort, you can take a darn good photo yourself. It's your photo, and you can use that,
Exactly. I think, I really do believe in the less is more theory. My sister, for example, I've worked a lot with her on book layouts and stuff, and she would never consider herself a creative person or designer or whatever, but she's so exceptionally good at organizing information and communicating something well. She's taught me very much that you don't have to be an exceptional creative design type person to be able to communicate information. I wanted to just actually say this earlier. If you are wanting to grow this kind of thing in your team, like invest into the person that you see has the best inclination towards this kind of thing, and really, get the correct tools. But it doesn't have to be expensive. Like I said, Canva is really not that expensive, but what I've tried to do for impact, but it's, I mean, it is hard when you have a big team and a lot of people volunteer time, but you want to just create some templates even. And maybe you can just ask a designer, if you know someone, hey, here's our branding. Can you maybe just create like 5 templates for me? And you just pay them once off and then just reproduce the template. If it's like an interview, an on-air interview, just use the same template and someone can easily just change the photo, but at least you can invest just a little bit just so that there's more consistency. What I find is when no one is spearheading, or if there isn't like this centralized idea, like this is our brand and this is what our look is, then one person designs it completely different to the other one, and it feels like every time you're starting all over again and building your brand, because everything looks different. So yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I wanted to, what's the time?
You've still got some time. I was thinking if you want to show us some of the stuff that you've made that you like.
Yeah, I was actually going to think, I want to actually open Canva, if you don't mind. I'll just need to have
Yeah.
I want to do is, since we have a bit of time, I want to show you what I have been talking about. Just give me a sec. I want to do this without closing Zoom altogether, because I have a habit of doing that. Let's see here. Sorry. So I'm just opening Canva. What I want to do is actually just show you how you could put something together easily and without too much. Oh, there you go. How you could put something together without too much of a mission. So I just want to open up a design and then I'll share my screen. Okay. All right. So let's do this. Share. Okay. Perfect. Okay, you guys can all see that?
Yeah, boy.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to be doing this live, so please don't judge if it's a bit messy. But Jonathan, maybe you can help me by giving me a scenario here, because I have to thumb suck here. But
okay.
Yeah, give me some ideas, like what kind of poster flyer are we creating?
Okay. Let's create a flyer for an upcoming concert. It's an event where a church is celebrating their 101st birthday. It's taking place, let's say it's taking place on the 9th of November. And it's a local church. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, sorry. 9th of November. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm also showing you my process. What I normally do is I put all the elements that I want on a page, and then I organize it after, like building a. Okay, so let's say the church is called Free Church. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Because I don't have a logo for them, so I'm just going to pretend this is their logo. Okay. So what's the call to action, Jonathan?
Encouraging people to come to the concert. It's a time of praise and worship.
Okay, so we want to say the call to, like, maybe they must WhatsApp or
oh yes, okay. So the idea is click to book your tickets.
Book on Quicket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Book on
Okay,
Quicket.
there
Yeah.
you go. That's fine. This is totally fictional. Okay. So that's fine. Cool, guys. Okay, so hierarchy of information. I want to make this big. this is kind of the second most important thing. And then we want maybe time as well. And say
11 o'clock. Let's say it starts at 11 a.m.
AM.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people are old. They've been at that church a long time.
Yes, exactly.
I want to do evening
How did-
concerts. Hey, listen, I'm 35 and I'm already like, oh, please don't make me go out at night.
Yeah. True story.
I think COVID ruined us all for like
True.
socializing.
Anything
Okay.
past 9 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now I've just got the details that I want. So I'm just going to look for, I'm just going to search for images, photos. Okay, so I like to use photos where you can see there's negative space, because immediately I see there where the crowd is on this top one. If you just drag it in, there's black. So, okay, there you go. So what I might do is, I'm going to want to maybe do this in white. No, let's try that again. Okay, I'll do this stuff in white. Okay.
The difference, the immediate difference that that background image makes is amazing.
Exactly. So, I mean, you could choose any fonts, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something very basic. Obviously, it's not refined, but I just want to show you the principle, really. So, you can even do this. Remember here, you can change the line spacing and the letter spacing, so you can immediately make it.
Wow.
So,
yeah, it makes it stand out more.
Yeah, and you can add an effect, which is sometimes nice for this kind of thing. We can maybe decide to do a bit of a nicer font. Okay, not that one. That's not a good one. But here you can maybe change it to small caps. No, that's not going to let me do that. No, guys, just give me a sec.
Undo's your friend, hey?
Oh yeah, listen, control V, Control Z. Which one is back again?
Well, you just click on the undo button at the top.
Oh yeah, that too. Okay, there, that effect's not working. Maybe you can play around with like a lot of that stuff. But that one also works. But this is also, you can see it's too light for here. So I'm not going to use that. Back. Doesn't work. But anyway, you can play around with elements, but already like you don't have to do a lot.
Yeah.
You can really,
and then
like, simple.
And in Canva, can you make it that the book on Quicket, that's a hyperlink?
I actually think you can. I've done it before. I think if you go like this, you can add a link.
Ah, fantastic.
So like I feel like this is.
And then testing it that it's cell phone ready, website ready, or Insta ready, Facebook ready. How do you do that?
Okay. So I would, sorry, it's thingy is just in the way. Okay. You're gonna download it, but I think you can actually post straight to Instagram, but I don't normally do that because I prefer to schedule stuff. But I mean, I normally just download it. I normally download it as a PNG and just up the quality. And then I'll just download it from there. But I think you can like do that. So have a look at what it's going to look like. Mobile version. So this is the Instagram 4x5 4x5 version. If you want to look at templates, like if you want to add more stuff, you can. What I sometimes will do, I'll show you, just like You can do like light effects. So you can do something like that if you want to
Oh,
add.
wow.
So you can immediately like do a bit more if you want to make it look more fun, whatever. What I sometimes like to do, if there's a brighter image, just put like an overlay so that it's not so bright. Like I just want it, or you can change the transparency or something like that. Like for example, like whatever. But yeah, you can play around with that. But this is like, okay, this is not my favorite thing, right? Just because it's not very refined. But yeah, you can add like little elements like that. But the point is more just that you can do very basic stuff. I want to show you just, if I go back to impact stuff, I wanted to just show you, this was a sales campaign that we did. So this was for our 30th. So we also were trying to use some like imagery. I did quite a faded image in the background. And yeah, sticking to our brand colors. We had a 30 years of impact logo that we used. And so we had this little decade special. So I tried to use matching imagery, from the tape to the CD to the phone. Yeah. So these were the packages and the T's and C's and stuff. Okay, there's a different version. What I do on Canva a lot is just like duplicate the page. Instead of changing everything and then having to change it back, I just duplicate it and then I can at least go back to previous design if I decide I don't like it. All right. So
Brilliant.
some of it, this is our interview template, for example. So yeah, we've just reproduced this, so it's easy for other people to use.
Okay, brilliant.
But yeah, cool. I think that's.
How do you? Sorry, if I can ask a question. How do you test that it's working, or how do you? What says to you, hey, that was a good one, and which one, and next time I should have done better? How do you decide that?
Yeah. Just stop share. There you go. I just want to get back to it. So, I mean, obviously on Facebook business, you get a lot of that analytics. You can see how people interacted with it. You can see what demographic, was it woman, men? It's really nice. Like you can go and get a lot of details from there. Yeah, I think normally it's just by people's interaction with a piece of content, but I also think you should ask, if you want to like hash out a design, go and ask a non-designer, what's your first impression? Ask someone. I always think, and this might sound a bit bad, but like my mom-in-law, she's in her 70s and not technologically advanced in any way. And I always think, like, how would she interact with this piece of design? Because she might not fully understand it because she thinks differently. And so I always think, how would she, or maybe she can't read small text, like everything's in large print. So I know that I'm not going to put like the smallest text on a post on this, because I know on her phone, she's never going to be able to read that. So that kind of thing you have to think about, but find people to ask and, what do you think? What do you think of this design? But generally, you'll very quickly see by the interaction. I know when we post reels or like videos of behind the scenes and fun stuff, people interact with it. Or if it's a resource, yeah, that's normally just what people interact with. You have to find what works for your audience. Yeah, I think
that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Wow. Any last questions, guys, before we wrap up? This is your opportunity. Anybody got a question? You're welcome just to shoot.
Okay.
Thanks, Karen. Yep.
Question from Sean here.
So just one more.
Sorry.
In terms of the logo, we've got a blue logo, but sometimes we find we have to change the color of the logo on the social media, but it's not fitting in with the picture. And I know you guys stick to your red, but I mean, if you like a choice of two, maybe a gray and a blue, is that still workable? Or?
Yeah, I mean, what I do is if the photo has like a neutral color type palette, for example, then it will be fine. As long as it's just a bit more, you change the transparency so it's not too bright and too conflicting in color. Otherwise, I often change the image to black and white. If it's like bright pink, like pink and red just don't look good together. Generally, so then I'll rather make it a black and white image, and just change the image, or sometimes I've even edited the image, go into the photo editing tool where you can change the contrast and the brightness and the tone and stuff if it's clashing a bit. We've had campaigns where we did one with Pop-Up, they're like a NPO type company, and their logo is like green and pink or something. So what I actually did then is, because it was a special campaign, I have a white version of our logo, an all white version. So I still used our logo, but then I removed the color from it, and we kind of highlighted their brand while using our logo, but highlighting their branding colors. We also did a CEO challenge. It was a sales campaign, but it was also like pink and purple and hectic. So yeah, there we also just used our plain white logo. So if it calls for it, but I mean, that's I think more in a special circumstance. I would rather choose images that fit with your look. And also use a less complicated version of your logo. Like, you don't have to have a huge thing on, like maybe just a small element like an icon, especially if it's social media, because you just want people to recognize your brand. They don't need like the biggest version of your logo. You just want something recognizable.
Okay, thank you.
And I just wanted to ask you also, we're thinking, the board has directed us to make 3 different, can you say, funeral cards. We've got a lot of staff and board members, and when close family members pass away, we want to give a card, but we've got someone who's actually going to paint 3 cards so that they're special. We don't want to make something just stock and standard in such a time. But I thought you put the logo at the back, like you have, if you have a Hallmark card, you just put a Hallmark logo at the back, on the back side, because you don't want to brand yourself at someone else's loss, or something. Do you think that would work?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Because again, what's the end goal? You're just encouraging someone. Their artwork is the star of the show. The logo is just there so people can kind of link back to you. So yeah, it's like that hierarchy of information. It makes sense for it to be at the back. It doesn't need to be at the front. So yeah, no, I think it's a good idea.
Great, thanks.
Fantastic. Well, I think that if we don't have any more questions, I think we can land it there, ladies and gents. It's been really fantastic. And remember, the video will be made available at a later stage. Charlene, thank you very much. It's been such an informative, and my brain already feels like it needs more space to just absorb everything. But yeah, I think if we do better as Christian media organizations, we'll reach more people, and that's advancing the kingdom of God. So that's what it's all about, hey?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for making the time for this online training session. I know it's a busy time of year. We've got another 2 more sessions coming up towards, in a week's time, and the next week after that. And I hope you've taken note of what it is. Tell your colleagues, tell your friends about it. so that we can get people to be a part of these training sessions. And yeah, have a wonderful one, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Charlene. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, everyone on the call. And happy days.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, guys.